Former Obama speechwriter and Pod Save America host Jon Favreau appeared on Fox News with Jesse Watters. And if you know Jesse Watters, well, I don't want to be insulting. He's just not the sharpest tool in the shed, we'll say. But he had a little debate, sort of, or just talked with Jon Favreau, and it was really interesting. So I'll play these clips for you, starting with this one.
You really think that you can just do this hope and change thing on Kamala? You think people are going to buy that?
I think people are pretty excited about Kamala Harris. This is like the most excited convention I've seen. I've been to conventions since 2004.
Were you at the RNC in Milwaukee? That was pretty hot.
I was at the RNC in Milwaukee. Little cocky. People were a little cocky there.
Well, that's because we didn't really know who we were running against.
Yeah, you guys had it wrapped up.
Yeah, we thought we were running against Biden.
You were figuring out, how big the electoral landslide was going to be.
Yeah,
now everyone's getting a little nervous.
Yeah, no one's nervous. Everybody knows it's going to be close.
Trump seems a little nervous.
I don't think you know anything about Trump. Do you really think that you can just take Kamala and just make her the hope and change candidate? You can just do this with any candidate? Because she was very unpopular like a month ago.
I think if you look at the polls now, she's pretty popular.
Being out sick the last few days has caused our channel growth to come to a screeching halt. If you want to help jumpstart it back to where it was going before, you can do so by clicking the subscribe button if you haven't already. Easy, free, but makes all the difference. Back to the video.
And I think that it's a pretty close race. I think she's maybe ahead by a point or two, but I think this is always going to be a close race. And, she's going to have an opportunity tonight to talk to the country, to lay out her vision, to talk about why we don't want to go back to Trump. And we don't want to go back to the 10 years of Donald Trump in our lives, just whining and complaining about everything all the time.
Well, he's complaining because you guys are throwing him in prison. I'd complain too. No one wants to go to prison. So
shouldn't break any laws now.
Favreau, let me ask you a serious question.
Mm-hmm.
Is she going to do the Fox debate, Kamala Harris?
Okay, and then on to that. And no, I don't think she is, and I don't think she needs to, but they have other debates scheduled. It's an interesting / strange question from Jesse Watters. Are y'all just going to do this hope and change thing with Kamala Harris too? Ick. Ugh, I hate that. It's not a thing. It's what we want, and it seems a lot of Americans want as well. We don't just want complaining, we want solutions. And when talking about solutions, often there's this hope that comes along with that. Understanding that change can be done. We can address painful, hard, dark, often problems, but be joyful in the fact that we're going to bring forward solutions to those problems. As opposed to Trump, who just whines, who just complains, and just fearmongers, but is really bad at bringing forward comprehensive solutions to the problems we're talking about. So yeah, we are going to do the hope and change thing. And it's not a shtick. It's a very compelling campaign and hopefully governing motivator if we win in November. And to reduce the movement, the excitement that we're feeling right now, not just for Kamala Harris, but for the priorities that she represents, to reduce that to just doing that whole thing again is laughable. It truly is. And it's funny that Jesse Watters brought up the RNC because it was not the same as the DNC. He tried to sort of say, well, were you there? It was pretty epic. No. There was an overly confident sort of we already won vibe, but also I think a picture that I tweeted about that perfectly embodies the difference. You have this split screen photo of RNC attendees holding up signs that say mass deportations now, and then you have DNC attendees holding up signs that say USA or freedom. Big difference. And it gets to the core of, and I do have much more to play for you, sorry I'm going on long, but it gets to a core difference between the visions. Is it going to be about fear-mongering about the other without actually bringing forward solutions to problems, or trying to solve problems in a unifying way? So yeah, Jesse, we're doing the hope and change thing all over again. How dare we?
I think that's a pretty big deal.
Okay, so it's going to be an abortion. I get that. That's going to be big. I definitely understand that.
Yeah. I also think that for economically, like, Trump gets elected, he's going to do another tax cut that goes mostly to rich people, to billionaires like Donald Trump.
Okay.
And she doesn't want to do that. They don't.
I know you guys.
You don't need another tax cut. I don't need another tax cut.
I definitely
Why do we need tax cuts?
I definitely need a tax cut.
Come on.
Hey, it's my money. I earned it.
You look good.
I earned it.
You don't need another tax cut.
Not as good as you. Not as good as you. How different is Kamala from Biden?
How different is Kamala from Biden? I mean,
yeah, but you're saying because you're laughing because she's a woman and she's an African American woman
and she's younger.
Okay,
and
but besides all that,
from a different place. Well, look, she's put out plans last week. She talked about plans to go after corporate price gouging. Didn't
Biden do that?
Biden, no, not the plan that she proposed, that she's going to have the FTC go after corporate price gouging. She's also going to have this home buyer's tax credit. She's also going to build these new homes. She's also going to extend the child tax credit. She's going to do a lot of stuff.
So she's to the left of Joe Biden.
No, there's a lot of stuff that Joe Biden wanted to do, but he couldn't do because the Republican Congress was blocking it. He would have passed the child tax credit. There was a vote.
Why didn't he do that when he had the House and the Senate?
There was a vote just a couple of weeks ago to extend the child tax credit, something that J.D. Vance and most Republicans want to do. They didn't want to do it because they thought it would help Joe Biden, and now they think it's going to help Kamala Harris.
Were you happy with Kamala not competing for this? Did you?
So, what was so important about that is Favreau addressing a talking point we're hearing constantly, which is anytime Kamala Harris says she's going to do anything, if she gets into office, the response from MAGA online folks, and I'm sure in person as well, is why hasn't she done it already? She's vice president right now. And it reminded me, oh gosh, this can get me really angry. I do have another clip to play. This is going to take a second. I'm warning you, okay? I'm not even going to name him here, but we'll say an online, influencer, younger guy, on the members only bonus show, a clip of him saying that Biden, whenever he was still the candidate, Biden posted something saying, if you elect me into office again, if I become president again, it would be a top priority to sign into law the enshrining of reproductive rights into federal law, right? Roe v. Wade into federal law. And this influencer screams and what the bleep, oh my gosh, you're president now, do it now, you're the one who overturned Roe v. Wade, do it now. And the point that I made was he didn't overturn it. The justices, it was made possible by the justices who Trump got into the Supreme Court, and also Biden can't do that now because he doesn't have the House of Representatives. And even before that, two conservative Democrats didn't want to carve out of the filibuster to enshrine reproductive rights. So the point is, Biden, if he had his way, would be doing that. But we have separation of powers in this country. And I think a lot of people similar to this influencer when it came to Roe v. Wade, similar to a lot of people criticizing Kamala Harris for not doing everything that she wants to do in a presidential term right now, they maybe don't understand separation of powers. But right now, House Republicans, whether it be the border bill, the child tax credit, or any other of these really important priorities, the House Republican caucus is blocking that stuff. And it's a beautiful thing that we have separation of powers, but it can cause a situation where you have, get this, a Democratic president who wants to do something, or a Democratic vice president also, and they can't do it because they aren't dictators. And so when people say that about Kamala Harris, when she says, I want to go after corporate price gouging, there's two responses I've found to folks saying, well, why hasn't she done this already? The first is they have been doing a lot of that. Have you seen how rapidly inflation has dropped? Have you seen the initiatives to go after the different unfair price gouging practices? We've seen the junk fees, for example, trying to go after that. Needless expenses for consumers has been an initiative. Or the child tax credit, that was something that was implemented and then rolled back because Republicans prevented it from being extended. Or when they talk about border security, why hasn't she done all these things? because Republicans blocked the border security bill. And so I maybe we should do a better job of adding into the language. It's just more simple to say, when I'm president, I'm going to do blank. But assumed in that sort of is that Kamala Harris would have a House and Senate, which is very possible if Democrats come out to vote in large enough numbers, who can help her do those things. So I'm happy that Jon Favreau pointed out that part of this is Republicans obstructing, and then part of it is they have been doing a lot of these things. Last thing I want to emphasize, if you hear Republicans like J.D. Vance say, we want to do the child tax credit, just remember, Republicans are the ones blocking that. Just recently, Democrats, as was mentioned there, brought up the enhanced child tax credit to a vote, and Republicans said, nah. And J.D. Vance didn't even bother showing up for that vote. So you can hold off with the rhetoric about being pro-family until you come over and support pro-family policies like we do.
It was laughable that people were calling her moderate.
I said that?
Yeah, you said it right here. I have it right here. Flashback. Former Obama speechwriter. Hilarious. Some media outlets calling Harris a moderate.
She's
Right there.
she's progressive, right? She's like a Democrat. She's not like center of the spectrum. Like I said, she's a mainstream Democrat.
So mainstream Democrats.
Those are progressive Democrats.
Far left.
Yeah, not far left. What do you think is far left?
Well, I think
do you think giving tax cuts
is far left.
tax cuts to the middle class is far left? Do you think
I love tax cuts.
secure borders and a pathway to citizenship
This is
far
not a
left?
secure border.
Do you think that giving every woman a right to choose is far left?
No, I think
Do you
she's
think-
far left
what do
when
you-
you look at her record on
What
police.
part's far left?
On police, on drugs.
What's her record on police? You think
She's
funding
for bail
the police?
reform.
You think funding the
She
police?
bailed
is far?
out rioters. One of them got out and raped and murdered somebody. I think that's far left. We agree to disagree. Jon Favreau, my mother loves you. Thanks for coming on.
Telling your
So the same stuff there. The reason I play that for you is because there is a lot of discussion about, and I've even admitted, there are things that Kamala Harris said in interviews and in campaign mode, particularly in her presidential 2020 campaign, as she was trying to sort of find her footing. Where was she going to fit into that spectrum of ideological stances during that Democratic primary? And you had a lot of popularity around Bernie Sanders, so sort of the left flank of the party was getting a lot of energy and maybe attracting her that direction. There were things that now don't match what she's running on. But my point is, yeah, and she's been vice president, and she's made clear in this moment what her governing priorities are. And so we can have debates about which policies across the ideological spectrum, the nuances of them, which would you consider to be too far left or too centrist or whatever. All that's fine. But her current campaign is outlining a set of very, I don't even like this word because a lot of times it's a negative connotation, but if you want to use it, moderate, I like to say uncontroversial, common sense stuff. Some of it is progressive, for sure. A lot of progressive policies are super popular, but it's just popular stuff, like paid family and medical leave, like the enhanced child tax credit, like actually doing something when it comes to border security while prioritizing humane policies, like going after corporate price gouging, maybe doing more infrastructure projects. And I think because she's vice president now, as they keep saying, well, just look at what she's doing now. She has that really historic record along with the Biden-Harris administration, or her participation in that, to really define where she sits on that spectrum. But I don't think the whole she's too far left thing is working for people, because she's not making her campaign about that. The conversation in the media is less about that, and it's more so a discussion of the contrast between Trump and her, and how she does have a forward-thinking mentality. She does have an agenda that is far more popular than Trump's. And so when I hear those sorts of attacks, especially given an example is she's anti-police, but she's in the administration. Well, first of all, she was a prosecutor, and she's in the administration that's overseeing the large federal investment It looks like a little thumbs up thing appeared on screen. It's so weird when it does that. She's a part of the administration that overseen the largest federal investment in public safety and law enforcement. And so just in a general sense, those attacks don't seem to be landing, which is good, because that's seemingly, aside from the personal stuff, all that the Trump campaign can come up with. Let me know what you thought of all that in the comments. And as always, if you want to become a member, support the work this show does, you can do that by clicking the join button below.